How's everybody doing today? We had an amazing weekend, and I just want to first just thank everybody for just who donated or volunteered or came or prayed. It was just an amazing weekend of just blessing the community, and there's going to be a ton of stuff that go out about that and making a video. And so I just thank everybody. I wanted to start there. We're going to go with our third week of these video devotionals, and we're going to get right to it. It comes from Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. As for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. All of us also lived among them at one time, gratifying the cravings of our flesh and following its desire and thoughts. Like the rest, we were by nature deserving of wrath. But because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved. And God raised us up with Christ and seated us with him in the heavenly realms in Christ Jesus, in order that in the coming of ages he might show the incomparable riches of his grace, expressed in kindness to us in Christ Jesus. For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and it is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. This passage has a kind of journey to it. It's like a journey story. It starts off with transgressions and sins, a kind of darkness. I've seen so many speakers, and after listening to these speakers, I felt like junk. They told me how bad I was and how messed up I was, and so you hear these stories and you come back and you're saying, I gotta change this. I gotta transform everything. And so I would try to change it, only to mess up several days later or weeks later. I saw somewhere that said, any gospel message that keeps you in a state of brokenness, reject it. Victory is ours because of Jesus' finished work. So we start with brokenness, but we don't end in brokenness. And we don't end in brokenness because we have grace. Grace is a gift. Grace is something that we do not deserve. But we're given this grace because we are so loved by God. But there's nothing that we can do that will ever earn us grace. It's absolutely free, and it's given to us. Grace is Jesus. I like to use an analogy when I talk about this exact passage. And I say grace is like this light, okay? It's a light that goes into the world. It's grace. It's huge. It's enormous. And it's a beacon of light that stands on its own because it's God. And our passage says this, for it is by grace we have been saved. Okay, so this saves us. But then it says through faith. So how do we access this grace that is so amazing and wonderful and a light going into the world? So let's say this is us. We try to do good things and try to be nice, or not be a bad person, or do this or do that. And none of those things will ever earn this grace. None of it. It never can get us to it. But then we have this thing called grace. And grace is, this thing called faith. And faith is exactly what gets us to grace. And that's why Jesus says that you don't even need a lot. You need a small mustard seed size. A little bit is going to at least access into this grace. And a God-sized grace can do amazing things. So we access this through faith. Nothing gets us to grace except for faith. Not working harder in your job, not acceptance by friends, family, even not acceptance by the church gets you that grace. It's through faith. Not doing good things and being a nice person. None of it. So if you are thinking that you don't deserve God's grace, well, that's not true, because none of us deserve it. Yet we're all given it because it's a gift. Please know, if you don't think that you deserve God's grace, it doesn't work like that. It's a gift. Jesus already died and paid the price for that grace that you get. It's already paid. You see, every religion, except for those who follow Jesus, has something that in order to get to God, you have to do all of these things. All these religions. It's about doing works, and then you'll finally get up to the level that you see God. Christianity is the one where grace comes to us even before we have done anything that shows goodness. Grace comes to us. So our salvation is not in jeopardy, because we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to do a lot of mistakes in the future. We're broken people. But your debt was already paid, and your grace has already shined on us because we have been given faith, and that's a gift. So we believe, and then we go out and we show love and do all the things that we're supposed to do because we have been given grace, and it's the greatest gift that we could ever imagine.